normally do during an offertory. You always get to hear me go on and on each week and share something from my heart, but I want you to have the chance to hear from the hearts of these people on the platform that don't often get a chance to voice what God is saying inside of them. And as we looked at the topic today of conflict and peace, we shared many times throughout the week just what God is teaching us personally, individually, maybe where we are looking for peace, where we are in the midst of conflict, and we kind of picked one of those to focus on and share with you this morning.
Good morning, my name is Jill, and when we were asked to talk about this, I just thought about all the many times growing up in the church that I've been a part of a prayer service where we've prayed for peace for someone. You know, Lord, give them peace in this difficult time. And how many times personally I've cried out to the Lord, Lord, I just need peace. You know, you're really nervous about something, whether it was a piano recital or some really grave thing going on, you just needed peace. And so often I just felt like it didn't come. I still felt nervous. I still felt anxious. And I thought specifically of the time when my mom was dying of cancer. And I argued a lot with God, felt great amount of turmoil, as you can imagine, and prayed diligently for peace and found really none. We'd pray for things that didn't happen and just felt like, God, where are you? And I remember distinctly the moment that the peace came. And it came the moment that I finally acknowledged that I was not God, and that God was God, and that He was sovereign, and that He knew what was best in this situation, and that His promises were true, that He would never leave me or forsake me, that He works all things together for good, even the death of your best friend. And so at that moment, when I could finally grab a hold of who God was in the midst of my circumstance, was the moment that I could actually experience peace.
My name is Aaron. I've been at Sunset here for probably 8, going on 9 years. And I've been playing music here, and it's amazing. Every week that I've played here since I've been here, we get a packet about 2 weeks out or so of the music. And immediately, as soon as getting the CD, receiving the CD, we would stick it in the CD player and you start listening to it. And sort of right away, you start building this sense of worship, building up for the weekend that's about to come. And what's kind of hard to do is think about performance. How am I going to come here on a Sunday and perform this music? But at the same time, get out of the way. Today's topic is about conflict and about peace. And I can tell you that everybody who's up here on the platform goes through this very same thing. How do we come up here, do the music well, but get out of the way at the same time? And I can tell you that the peace side of it comes when one of you or two of you or maybe even a group of you respond to us in some kind of way by saying that the Spirit touched you. And what that tells us is that we got out of the way at some particular point, and that the performance also kind of got out of the way, and the Spirit came, met you where you are. So I really encourage each of you, it's huge when people come up, and if you're not comfortable with that, please send in an email or a comment card or something, letting us know that we came together with you as a community, and that the Spirit touched all of us at some point.
My name's Tyler, and I wanted to read a couple verses from Habakkuk 1, pretty obscure book of the Bible. Verses 2 and 3 go like this. How long, O Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen, or cry out to you violence, but you do not save? Why do you make me look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrong? Destruction and violence are before me. There is strife and conflict abounds. Essentially, I think Habakkuk is asking the age-old question, God, why do you let bad things happen? An answer that all of us have a hard time dealing with. And specifically in my life, I've been dealing with this lately. I have good friends from home that are going through a separation and probably will be a divorce at some point down the line here. And I've talked to both of them on the phone individually. And I think I first came into the conflict with this idea of, oh, Tyler, you can say the right things and do the right things and you can fix it. And obviously it hasn't been fixed. And it's just been so hard to see two of my friends who have so much hate and pain for each other and for the situation. It was just difficult. How do I give the God of peace to these two believers that are in the midst of the biggest conflict of their lives? And I just dealt with that and couldn't come up with any answers. And then I read the end of Habakkuk, which ends good, thankfully. And he ends his book like this. Though the fig tree does not bud, and there are no grapes on the vines, though the olive crop fails, and the fields produce no food, though there are no sheep in the pen and no cattle in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in God, my Savior. And I think the message that I have this morning is I couldn't experience any peace with the situation until I gave it up. And they're not going to experience any peace with their conflict until they get their hands off of it and let God take control. So that's really the message that I have for you this morning.
Tyler's a seminary student, in case anybody didn't know.
That's why I chose Habakkuk.
Right, Habakkuk.
Well, when I started thinking about this, my brain went a direction of physical fighting. And I thought, how many people have I physically fought with in my life? And I remember in second grade, I punched my friend Jason Stye because he liked the girl I liked, Charmin. And that was about the time that the Don't Squeeze the Charmin commercials were out. And then I remember in fourth grade, my friend Teddy Van Beek liked another girl that I liked, and we were out on recess, and I had a giant green marble, and I was mad at him, and I threw it from about 30 yards and gave him stitches. It was like one of the luckiest shots of my life. That was number 2. And then number 3, and my brother's actually here from Georgia, but one time I overheard my brother on a phone call that he didn't want me to be listening to. I don't even remember what it was, but he discovered that I was in the living room, and I think I took a swing at him, and I think I blocked out whatever happened from there, because that was a bad idea. He's much stronger than I am. But about 4 years ago, something much more serious came up in my life, and that is when I lost, really at that time, my best friend. He's still alive, but we came to a point in our relationship where we just had a major disagreement, a misunderstanding, and I kind of thought that it would resolve itself fast, and it didn't. The months started going by, and I kept pushing. I was very aggressive about it. I wanted to reconcile this conflict so bad, and there was a point somewhere as the months turned into years where I finally gained a little bit of peace to say, you know what, God, I have to let this go. I have to let this relationship go right now. I can't make it happen. And this last Friday, I went to a funeral, and this gentleman that had died, I knew that my friend knew him, and I wondered if he would be there. I hadn't seen him in years. And I opened up the bulletin or the program, and sure enough, he was going to be singing in this program. And so it ended, and I went to leave, and I thought, I'm not even gonna go up and approach him. I don't want to upset him. And my wife Allison said, "No, Jay, I really think you're gonna regret it if you don't go up and say hi to him." And so I walked up there, and my knees were shaking, and my heart was pounding. And I just got to tell him, "Hey, good job on your song," and gave him a hug, and then walked away. And so this is a conflict in my life that's still not resolved. But honestly, the most peace that I have is that I know, even if on this side of eternity we are not reunited in a friendship, that he knows the Lord and that I will spend eternity with him.